I'm sure most of you guys can tell that I absolutely love CW Flash, not because it's the most amazing thing in the world, not because it's the perfect version of the Flash, and not because it is a perfect masterpiece, even though I did enjoy quite a few various seasons within the show. Now, but I enjoy it for a multitude of reasons. One, I grew up on it, right? It has a sense of kind of like nostalgia to it. But two, because of the love interests, because I'm a sucker for a good love story, and I'm a sucker for a good kind of coupling or a ship. And frankly, I got to admit, I absolutely missed Patty Spivet. And I'm going to say it again. I've talked about it probably on various occasions. But to this video, I'll be talking about why I miss Patty Spivet. Or really why I wish Patty Spivet never left Central City. And there are various reasons for this, but the main reason for it is the fact that we got Iris West. Okay, let me stop. It's not because we got Iris West, all right? Iris West wasn't that bad. I think we all play it up like it's a terrible, horrible thing because of, a couple, let's just say, unsavory instances, but at the same time, she wasn't the worst love interest in the world. But, like that version of Iris West. But I think we saw so many amazing love interests, especially in a short period of time, that we kind of get this feeling of like, damn, maybe it would have been better on the other side of that mountain. And Patty Spivet, I think, is one of those people. I mean, I really, really wish that she didn't leave Central City, at least to leave kind of that idea open to the possibility. Now, obviously, before Iris West became the center of Barry Allen's true world, as a actual love interest, because we know that she was a part of the story, as pseudo sister type of thing, which is a whole nother thing, but that's whatever. Where we know she was a part of the story. She was a love interest to an extent, but she was more of his friend, sister type of person, and we knew that was kind of where we're going. But before Iris was the full-on center of attention for Barry Allen, before the multiverse and all this endless time travel consequences, yada yada yada, we had a character known as Patty Spivet, right, in season 2 of the CW Flash. Now, she wasn't some sort of hero, she wasn't some sort of metahuman. And frankly, we saw that I wouldn't say she was necessarily destined for some crazy greatness, right? She seemed to be just some sort of character that popped up that was very similar to Barry in terms of what he was, right? And in terms of what Barry Allen was. And that's what made her such a great addition to the show, and why she was such a fantastic love interest. Because she wasn't a hero, right? She wasn't a metahuman. She wasn't this person that was some crazy powerful being, right? She wasn't destined for what we saw in terms of the Flash and all this stuff. She was somebody who scratched and clawed all throughout her life and all the way up to where she got to. And she was just a person. She was a person that was smart, funny, compassionate, and she was probably one of the most human characters in the show. I mean, we saw on multiple occasions how her feelings were manifested, how she really approached the way she felt about Barry, how she really approached various different scenarios where we think about it and we're like, yeah, that's exactly how I would have reacted as well. Very similar to your kind of Harrison Wells moment. And how she shot at him and stuff like that. Those are moments where it's yeah, I would have done the same thing. In all honesty, I would have probably done the exact same thing. Now, with that said, there are a ton of reasons why I love her so much as a character, and I love her so much as a love interest, because really the moment that she came into Barry's life, she brought a little bit of normalcy. Now, you might be like, okay, well, really? She brought normalcy? I mean, she wanted to be a part of the metahuman task force and stuff like that. And yeah, I hear you. She definitely wasn't fully normal. But in terms of the world itself, in terms of police work, she did bring some normalcy to Barry, right? Brought into this idea that she didn't have to be kind of super connected to like metahumans and super connected to the Flash and this and that to really make a difference and to really be like really, really, really good for Barry in itself. Because let's be honest, right? Barry's world was shattering. It was crashing and burning. I mean, he watched Eddie, a friend of his. Yeah, they weren't the best of friends, but they were friends. If Eddie sacrificed himself, his mother, he watched her, be unfortunately ended once again, and had to basically watch it happen all over again. And over again, he makes sacrifice after sacrifice, right? And we have this idea of like, he is a man that is fully driven to save Central City. And there's nothing left for him. There's nothing left emotionally for him to truly have. And Patty walks in, and she was this bright, quirky, capable, genuine person that you just instantly fell in love with. You were like, wow, this is it. Patty Spivet is Barry Allen's love interest, is the perfect person for him because of just what she brings to the table and also just what her interests are, right? What Barry and her both kind of push forward towards, what they both enjoy, what they both like, what they're both kind of like in terms of like personality and stuff like that. That's kind of why I like Felicity Smoke as well. But Patty being introduced the way she was, she had a little bit more layers in terms of like what she brings to the table, not compared to Felicity. Because Felicity, yeah, she was super intelligent, she had this, she had that, but Patty was legitimately in the same line of work, like as Barry Allen, not the Flash. She wasn't drawn to the Flash, and Felicity wasn't either. Sorry for that little moment of back and forth, but obviously this isn't about Felicity. Like Felicity, there's nothing wrong with Felicity. Felicity is awesome. She wasn't drawn to like the Flash either necessarily, but I really loved Patty bringing her in where she falls in love with Barry Allen. Like she gets drawn in by Barry Allen, not anything else. There is no layers to their relationship in terms of like, oh, like she kind of liked him and then the Flash idea came up and then she really liked him. No, it had nothing to do with that. It legitimately was Barry Allen and Barry Allen all the way. And yeah, did she want to eventually kind of stand side by side him and basically be a part of, Team Flash? Of course. But she wanted to do that not because she wanted to be with the Flash, right? Not because she wanted to work with the Flash. It's because she wanted to help Barry. She wanted to help Barry Allen. She wanted to stand side by side with Barry Allen. She wanted to do everything she possibly could in terms of helping Barry Allen. And that right there is what makes Patty such a beautiful character and what makes her such an awesome character overall, with kind of just everything involving her caring nature and all the above, right? Because this relationship really could have saved Barry like quite a bit, especially in this season. Now, obviously, we need to have our little plot points and stuff like that. And I understand that at the end of the day, right, Patty left not because of, the show itself. She was written off the show because she was going to a different show, whatever, right? That's fine. But at the same time, like if she stayed in the show, there probably are some moments that don't necessarily happen the way they happen. I mean, the chemistry they had was amazing. Two detectives solving crimes, geeking out over science, all this stuff. But also the idea of him going back in time, saving his mother, all this stuff. I mean, Patty could have been that person to really help him, hold his hand through the pain that he was going through. Because honestly, Iris and all them, they weren't really able to do that. Patty seemed to connect with him on a totally different level and on a completely deeper level as well, right? Not just because they were so similar, but mostly because she just understood. She was so understanding. And that right there was awesome to watch. Like she was the legitimate perfect girlfriend. Like, she was understanding of everything. She understood why he kept the secrets, understood why this or that, why he was kind of burying this idea of him being the Flash away. She got it. She understood it. And obviously she's smart, she's capable, so she figured it out. Like, she figured out who he was and all that stuff. But what made it so amazing is she wasn't mad at him. She wasn't angry. She wasn't blaming him. She wasn't saying, no, you should have told me, blah, 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 all this extra drama. And that's why I love her so much, is you didn't have that extra drama. She was like, look, I get it. I get why you didn't, admit that you're the Flash. Like, maybe you couldn't trust me. Maybe you couldn't do this. Maybe you couldn't do that. But now I know, right? Just admit it to me now. And guess what? I'm going to stay. I'm going to be with you. Like, I'm going to help you. I'm going to be a part of your team. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And that right there would have been such a amazing moment. Now, it could have also been a point of contention in terms of maybe him losing another loved one. And that would have sucked, right? That would have been horrible, but it could have been a plot point. But it also could have been a plot point where Patty helps him. Like, helps him get over the loved ones, passing, helps him push on, keep going forward, and do all this stuff. And Patty didn't even have to be Endgame. And that's what's the crazy part of it, is it felt like, yeah, don't get me wrong, she had other shows or whatever, other movies, whatever she had to do, like as an actor itself or actress itself, herself. But at the same time, it felt like we were writing her off where she still had, or could have had, a pretty big effect, not as an Endgame love interest, which, by the way, you guys know my opinion on this. I would have loved to see a different love interest be the Endgame instead of Iris West. But at the same time, I get it, right? I understand it. Iris West, that's the comic love interest. I kind of agree with it, right? I kind of agree with the idea of like having her be Endgame. But imagine having your Caitlin Snows or maybe a Patty Spivet be Endgame instead. I mean, in terms of the Arrow universe, right? Or in terms of Green Arrow, like the show Arrow, I didn't really like Felicity as the Endgame, which might sound a little weird. Maybe you guys disagree, maybe you guys agree, but that's not really what this video is about. But I just wanted to say that really quick, is I didn't really agree with it. I thought Laurel Lance still should have been, right? I think it still should have been. It felt like that's what we were building up to. I know they have great chemistry. They were cool on screen overall, but in terms of chemistry, I felt like Felicity still had better chemistry with Barry, right, than Oliver. And instead of this, like, it just felt like it was a more damsel in distress type of relationship, which I just don't think works really well with the Green Arrow and with those two. Laurel Lance would have been like the Black Canary. The Black Canary and Green Arrow were the love interests for each other and were the couple for a reason, because it wasn't a damsel in distress, right? And Barry Allen, yeah, I get it with the whole Iris West thing. It had to happen that way because their relationship is kind of like a damsel in distress type of relationship. No, I don't mean that in a bad way, like she can't do things for herself. But Iris West, especially in the comics, for the most part, isn't like a main character, right? She is a side character. And that's how it's supposed to be, at least in these superhero shows, depending on the approach you really walk through the story with. If you had Green Arrow and Laurel Lance, like Black Canary and Green Arrow, I mean, you can definitely dignify that they are both main characters. They are both characters that don't need to have one or the other take a sideline spot. With Iris West, it felt like she wasn't giving enough, right? Enough to the table to where you can really dignify giving her all that limelight. And if you're going to give her all that limelight, it should really be involving the relationship aspect of her and Barry. A lot more of that and a lot less of obviously the other stuff we ended up getting. Now with Patty Spivet, I feel like you could have gotten it. You could have gotten a good mix of it, actually, because Patty still would be working, with the police departments, and she would still be working as a detective or helping with the meta human crime type of a police part of the organization, whatever you want to call it, right? And you would have gotten parts of where Patty still had her own identity. Like she had legitimately her own identity. It felt like Iris West's identity was kind of pushed and like really didn't fit properly. So saying goodbye to someone like Patty Spivet leaving Central City kind of felt awful, kind of felt horrible, especially later on when you really put it into perspective with everything that happened. I mean, the idea that, oh, Zoom is going to take everybody you love and this and that. It's like, dude, you still had Iris West around. You still had all these people around. You could have sent her off until Zoom was done or until you got rid of him or something along those lines. It just felt dumb. It felt stupid. It felt dumb. And it really makes us like wish Patty Spivet stayed. And I could just go on a little, even more of a rant about why Patty Spivet leaving was horrible because Iris West was horrible. But I'm not going to do that. I've gone on rants about this version of Iris West quite a bit. And about what I like, what I dislike, or there's a lot to dislike in terms of the writing of it, by the way, because it has nothing to do with her, nothing to do with Candace Patton. It has a lot to do with the writing, right? CW writing is pretty trash. I was about to say some bad words there, but it's pretty trash. Sometimes, sometimes it's good, but for the most part, it's pretty trash when you're trying to do drama. So you get a lot of messed up and messy stuff that really doesn't need to be there, especially in a superhero show, which, by the way, come on, like it's a superhero show at its core. So 85% needs to be super, other 15%, right, can be drama if you want it to be. But you got to be careful with the drama, especially with stuff like this. And it just felt like, oh, they're giving the excuse for Patty to leave. But the excuse for Patty to leave should be the same thing for someone like Iris, who they want to keep safe and blah, blah, blah. But she still stays and she still is in kind of harm's way. And then eventually she becomes important, quote unquote, to the team. So she's even more in harm's way than even usual. So, yeah, when I say I wish Patty Spivet never left Central City, I truly believe that. Just what she brings to the table, what she meant to Barry Allen, and what she could have kept meaning to Barry Allen. And yes, not The Flash, Barry Allen, as we progress through the story of CW's The Flash. It could have been monumental. It could have been amazing. It could have been heartwarming. And yeah, it would have ended in heartbreak, just like it did, because holy crap, oh my, heartbreak is an understatement for what I was feeling when all that happened. But at the same time, I got to admit, even for the kind of little bit we had her, it was amazing. I loved her so much. I had a big crush on her as well. I mean, you know, most of these characters that I had a big crush on, right? Because I was growing up. But at the same time, she was amazing. She was an amazing love interest. And I would have just loved to see more of her. And I would have loved if she just never left Central City. But obviously, it didn't happen, and nobody can go back in time and fix that or change that, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, that's all I really got to say. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys agreed with it, if you guys disagreed with it, leave a comment down below, all that good stuff. If you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below, all that stuff that I've been saying. And if you enjoyed this video, YouTube believes you'll enjoy this one, so might as well go check it out.